Okay, folks. Trudy, would you shut the door for us? Thank you. I should never have said it's going to be recorded, but action. Anyway, so I want to welcome you guys to meet with Chris Daly. Chris was one of the first, actually number 5 podcaster in the world. That was 20 years ago. I'd actually met him several years before then, and we were good friends. I didn't know what podcasts were, but he's gone on to become one of the top podcasters, and he's got hundreds of shows. He's got thousands of the shows that are out there running right now. He's 5 times best-selling author. He's an AI expert. He is a Texas high school historian, and he is a futurist. So, help me welcome Chris Daly.
Thank you. I was like, wow, I want to meet this guy. Sounds good.
Yeah.
No,
I'd love to, man.
right, exactly. And it's a Texas high school football historian, not high school historian.
Oh.
I don't know much about high school, but I do know football. But yeah, the reason I came into town, and I live a couple hours south of here, out in the country, enjoy the great life. I have high-speed fiber, so I can do my business anywhere. But Gail and I are founding members of a group we call the Business Success Academy. And I forgot, was it Bob who mentioned that you need a core group, you need a think tank, a collection of like-minded people, you know, in your 5. And that's really what this is. It's entrepreneurs, it's business people, it's experts that get together online and with each other and help each other. If you have an issue, you bring it up, and the group steps in, figures it out. It's also kind of a repository for tons of information. We've got, you know, video book reviews of some of the best books out there. I put an online course out there called Winner's Workshop, which is using sports psychology to make you a champion, and regardless of what your field is. That one I did with a professor of sports psychology who's been teaching it and training on it for the last 31 years. So all that's available in the group. It's called Business Success Academy. We charge $7 a month to be a member, but that's because it's recently just started and it's going to be going up. You know, because we only want people in there who are serious about doing business. But one of the things we do every other Friday, we do what we call our FIRE meeting. Friday, Inspire, Renew, and Excel. And I just thought it was a cool acronym. But it's basically where we get together and talk about a different subject. Last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago, I was on there talking about AI and how to utilize AI in your business. This Friday, it will be Gail, and he's going to be speaking about networking because he is the connector, right? He knows networking inside and out. Some of the things we're going to cover, using attracting and engaging, the first few words you say when you network with somebody, how important those are. Introductions, how to eliminate negatives in how you explain yourself. We're also going to be talking about leadership, the role of technology in networking, just a whole bunch of networking stuff, from things like personal branding and time management, you name it. And Gail will be heading that. Anybody who's in the group are invited to that. Actually, you're invited to that regardless. We invite anybody to these FIRE meetings, but it's the group stuff that's, you know, behind a paywall. But yeah, that's Friday. Gail will have links to the thing, or if you've got my card or my contact info, I will share a link. It's a Zoom meeting. You can do it from anywhere. It's 11:30 a.m. this Friday, and then every other Friday, same exact time. So, anything else, Gail?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about podcasting and what's involved.
Yeah, there's that podcasting thing I do too. Yeah, like Gail said, I've been doing it since '04 when it was invented. The first one I did was called Lone Star Gridiron, Texas high school football. And that one's still going. Not only is it going, the website LoneStarGridiron.com is now one of the biggest Texas high school football websites. Every week we have about 15 to 20 different shows, and we're not talking episodes, we're talking different shows. Like, we will follow the Lufkin Panthers and talk to the coach every week, or we'll talk to the Montgomery Lake Creek coach, or the Cuero coach, or whoever. We also do a Houston show, a DFW show, a Gulf Coast show, a Central Texas show. And that's just kind of my passion, is the high school football side. But when I first started in '04, I went around to people. I actually spent all of '05 traveling around the country, speaking to business groups, colleges, saying, look, this podcasting thing stuff is amazing. It's a game changer. You can be the media. And it was blank stares. It was way too early. But now, as of, probably 5-6 years ago, now my mom knows what a podcast is, which is huge. And so everybody knows what they are. They see the value of it. Study came out, it was 4 weeks ago, that showed podcasting had the highest ROAS, or return on ad spend, of any advertising. It beats billboards, radio, television, social media, Facebook ads, you name it. 4.9x, which translates to spend $1 on advertising in a podcast, you get $4.90 worth of sales, on average. Another study came out earlier in the year that said podcast hosts were the most trusted media in the world right now. And you go, wow, that's pretty amazing, but nobody trusts the media, right? That's pretty easy, but it's because it's real people talking about real things, and there's no filter there. And that does get you into trouble sometimes if you can't control what you say. But at the end of the day, we're doing one with the Senior State Concierge that Gail is hosting. And that's how I met some of the people in this room already, through the fact that my company does the back end. So I listen to the Junk Luggers episode, so I kind of know people before I actually meet them, which is cool. But yeah, that's it. That's what we do. We help you launch, grow, monetize, and become a guest on podcasts.
How can they get started in podcasting?
It's super simple, really. I mean, you can do it with your cell phone. You don't need to go spend a whole lot of money. Everybody, these podcast companies will try to sell you equipment and, mics and lights, but true podcasting is audio only. A lot of people think of Joe Rogan video podcast. He added video much later, just because it was there. And audio only converts on a call to action 4 times better than video.
Yeah.
Would you repeat that, please?
Yeah, audio only. Yeah, that converts on a call to action 4 times better than video does.
Why do you think that is?
I know exactly why. It's
Okay,
because,
very
think
well.
about it. I drove here in 2 hours. I listened to 4 podcasts. I couldn't watch video while I was driving here.
There you go.
And think about it, when you've got your earbuds in and you're walking the dog or riding your bike, that person's in your brain, literally inside your head. You can't get a tighter connection with that person. You hear them every week and you start to say, hey, that's my buddy, even though you've never met him. And when he says, oh, I got these really cool boots, you should check them out. Of course, your buddy said it, you're gonna look at it. So yeah, that's why audio works much better. Yes?
Maybe I'm missing something, but can't you listen to an audio video podcast while you're driving?
You can.
Okay, because I thought maybe something you couldn't.
No, you can, but the problem with a lot of the video podcasts or videocast is they will show things visually. And they'll say, yeah, look at this. You can't look at that while you're driving, And that's why Rogan does it. He also still puts it out in audio only. And then he'll put that feed into YouTube, audio and video.
About 14 million viewers for his last show.
Yeah, the Trump interview. Yeah, he broke all kinds of records with that one.
Wonder how that happened. That's strange.
It's over 35 million
Yeah.
35?
Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah. And again, you know, a lot of them, like I listened to all of it, but I did it where I didn't sit there and look at the screen that long, because nobody watches Joe Rogan that long.
Right.
They'll watch a clip, or they'll listen a segment, and they'll listen a segment later. It'll take them forever, which is why the most effective podcasts are about 20 to 35 minutes. And weekly is as far as building an audience.
Consistency.
Exactly, and that's the secret. Over 25 million podcasts have been created. 95% never made it past episode 11 because it's hard. The editing, the posting, you know, it's work, and that's what we do. We do the back end, so that when Gail does the TSEC podcast, he just sends me the file, and my guys put it up in Laurel and put in the intro music, the outro music, the commercials, you name it. Makes it much easier.
Chris, when was your first podcast?
When? It was fall of 2004, August.
Was it Gail, I told Gail this story about 15 years ago. Me and a friend of mine did about 30 podcasts about 15 years ago, and nobody knew what the hell.
Yeah, you should have been there 20 years ago.
Well, even 15 years ago, I told him if we'd have kept doing it, we probably would have been famous by now. But you're right. It's like anything you do. You have to have a system set up that's simple enough that you will be consistent with it.
Right, and that's what we did. We learned all the tricks that were like, you know, we were wasting a lot of time doing things that we really didn't have to do. We were wasting time with soundboards and mixers and all that, and now your phone does a much better job than any of that did. So the tools have come a long way too.
You know, it's lots of things changed.
It's about the end result. Did you have the end result in mind?
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Chris, could you repeat the statistic about, it seemed like you said the number 11 was an important number on success to failure.
Well, that's just the number that at 95% of the 25 million podcasts never made it past that.
Okay.
So I tell somebody, I was talking with a couple that, a mother-daughter that does a mommy cast, which is a really big market. And they did episode 25 recently, and they said, I just don't know if we can pull this off. And like, hey, you already have beat the odds. You know, so yeah, you know, if you make it usually 2 or 3 episodes in, you're like, oh, what am I going to do a show on, or when do I have time? Because they try to do it every Wednesday, you know, like, no, record 10 shows and you've got 10 weeks done, unless you're doing timely things like news, you know. But I do one for the University of Texas, and that one is me hosting because I love the opportunity. I'm talking with NFL Hall of Famers, Olympians. I'm talking with athletes across all UT sports, and we'll spend the summer recording a year's worth, and then boom, boom, boom. It's set, it's edited, it's scheduled. I don't think about it till next summer, and I get people. I'll go to some UT thing, and I'll get somebody saying, "Hey, I love that show," and I go, "Oh, that one came out." Because
So how do you, when you do that, how do you keep, like for current events, how do you make it not old by the time they hear it?
well,
6 months
it's
or
the
you-
content. It's whether you're doing timely or what we call evergreen.
Right.
You know, when I'm talking with these athletes, we don't talk about current events. We talk
So
about
it's
where you
basically
grew up, how
evergreen
you got
content.
into it. This is your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I like that.
Yeah, oh, everybody loves that. I mean, and I've got shows that, I do another off-season show where I interview high school coaches. And, I've got shows from 8 years ago, that's how long ago that one started, that still get as many downloads as the new ones coming out. Because there's still wisdom in that conversation with those coaches. There's still information about, you know, I've got coaches like, Spike Dykes, you know, before he passed, and people love to go back and hear in his own words, you know, what happened. So that's part of it, is we do a free planning session with you, where we say, look, is this gonna be evergreen? Is it gonna be timely? Is it going to, how's it gonna promote what it is you do? Because it should, you know, at the end of the day, you want to get something from doing it other than a little popularity. But you can monetize it in many different ways, by getting new customers, by selling ads. Maybe you have a book or a course that you can sell in it. Lots of ways to monetize, and that's what we do in that free session is, let's figure out what makes sense for you.
So you download it on all the platforms or just mainly Apple?
Well, the two 800-pound gorillas are Apple and Spotify.
Right.
If you put it on those, the rest of them come and grab the RSS feed, and you don't have to worry about doing it. And you don't have to do it every single episode. You set it all up once on your website so that when you post the new one, it automatically goes up. And that's really the beauty of podcasts is if somebody whose show I listen to finishes an episode this morning, when I open my phone up, it's on my phone. You know, that's the beautiful thing is they don't have to take action. They just have to open their app and go, oh yeah, I got a new Joe Rogan post or a new AI post or whatever it is, a TSEC episode. Yeah.
And then the people that watch those
Or listen.
can go ahead and post those on their
Yes.
social media,
Yeah.
and you get a lot more exposure.
Yeah, that's a concept called OPA, other people's audiences. And I tell, as a marketer, I tell my clients, look, you need to get in front of other people's audiences. Right now, I'm in front of somebody else's audience. So speaking is a great way. Being a guest on somebody's podcast, there's a lot of great shows. That's one of the things we do in the Business Success Academy. As you participate, you earn the ability to be on, like we have a show called the Small Business Spotlight. You know, costs you nothing, but it gets you in front of that whole audience, which gets 20,000 downloads across the country each episode. And then when you put your podcast out in the world, it's in front of the iTunes audience, it's in front of the Spotify audience. And if you had a guest, like say you had a guest, you invited Gail on, Gail's gonna post that episode on his too. So, you know, it's just kind of a snowball social tunnel, yeah.
What is the website again for school?
It's kind of long. SKOOL.com, but Business Success Academy with dashes in between it all. So we got to get a shortened URL for that one. But you can talk to Gail, talk to me. My website is freshmediaworks.com, and Gail. Fresh, yeah, Fresh Media Works. Yeah. And on there we talk about marketing, podcasting, and AI, because AI, I'm spending a lot of time talking about AI right now with helping people use that. One, to help their podcast, but also just marketing in general, you know, doing all your repetitive tasks.
We're using it more than a lot of people realize.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you use it when you type something into Google and it automatically fills out what it thinks you're talking about.
Traffic, navigation.
Yep. Yeah, GPS, all of that. Cool.
Okay, well, let's give Chris City a big
Thank you,
hand.
Mr. C.
Yeah. Blake, if you would do the honors, sir, and close this out by
Press the button.